What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 32 of the Sean vs. Wild podcast. I'm your host, as usual, the man, the myth, the Sean Thriller Smith. And today it's Tuesday, August 1st. I can't believe it's August already. 32 episodes into the show, guys, and it just keeps gaining momentum. So very stoked to have you here listening again, and very stoked for the show. I got Chris Doty and Chris Goins from Iron Falcon taking over the Smithsonian here this week. It becomes the Chris vs. Wild podcast, essentially. But we're going to sit down, we're going to chat, laughs will be had, drinks will be spilt, and we're going to be discussing Iron Falcon. Those dudes are awesome. Every band that they're in is awesome. They got a few projects going on. Most Summer Youth, I just actually saw them this weekend. But we're going to be talking specifically about Iron Falcon here today. You're definitely not going to want to miss that. Very fun episode, especially if you like last week's. A very similar feel to last week. So, saw them this weekend, and I had actually a really big weekend. I feel like I'm just going to go ahead and talk about that. We'll start with Thursday night. I appeared on the What You Recordin' Willis podcast as a guest. So if you haven't heard that yet, part 1 is up. Maybe by the time this is out, part 2 will be up. I'm not sure. I'm not trying to rush you along, Willis. So I was a guest on that, and that turned out really well. I was really excited about that. I was nervous, Being on my show is pretty much no sweat, but being on somebody else's, I felt like I had to be on point. So, but it was great. Absolutely fantastic. And then Friday, I went to a wedding. So congratulations to John Brayboy and Jacqueline Knoop, now Mr. and Mrs. John Brayboy, on their on getting married. So John, played with me in Baby Yeah for 10 years. So he's a brother to me, and I want to welcome Jacqueline to the family officially. And great wedding, great party. Got to see a lot of people this weekend that I hadn't seen in a long time. So that was great. And then Saturday was Dead Fest, part 1. So I caught Summer Youth there at Dead Fest. And then K-Day, you remember K-Day from the podcast, episode 5. She was in town on tour with a group called Chico and Lollipop. And I went to that show later on that night. So I had a big day Saturday, just being hungover, eating wings, going to shows, and then going to shows. That's what I do. So I went to that show. Absolutely great. Chico and Lollipop, and K-Day both. If you're fans of, for Chico and Lollipop specifically, if you're fans of Dirt Nasty, Riff Raff, Mickey Avalon, that style of hip hop, you're definitely going to want to check them out. I was so blown away, actually, and so entertained by that I actually got them on the podcast, so be on the lookout for that here in the next couple weeks. Spoiler alert, it's going to be coming out here in the next couple weeks. So that was awesome. They stayed over. We had a long night, did the podcast on Sunday, and then by the time I think everything, the dust settled, I sat down, ready to go to Dead Fest Part 2, and I fell asleep in the chair like an old man. And now I'm here recording this intro. So I missed Dead Fest Part 2, but I love all the guys that played. Hope you had a great set. And so that's the weekend for you here. But guys, let me tell you about something that is 100% important to me before we go any further, and that is my sponsor at audiophileInc.com. That is Shane. Shane is going to print shirts for you. Not only shirts, but tank tops or underwears or short shorts or dad hats or whatever else that you can think of that are super stylish right now. He's going to print them for you, and he's going to do it at the best price in town, no matter what town you live in, because he's also going to ship it to all 50 states. So if you're located in the United States, this is where you're going to want to go, audiophileInc.com, and tell them Sean vs. Wild sent you. So that's audiophileInc.com, AUDIOPHILEINK.com, audiophileInc.com. Tell them Sean vs. Wild sent you. Also want to give a big shout out to Joe Brock for booping these dials. You know what he's going to do. He's going to boop those dials like he's done every week. And this week, no different there. He's just making it happen per usual, making me sound 100% natch, very super natch, if you ask me. So big thanks to Joe Brock, and also big thanks to you, the listener, for tuning in each and every week. Seen a lot of new likes on my Facebook recently, and if you're a new listener or you just like the Facebook, or it doesn't matter what time you get to the party as long as you get there, and I'm super, super appreciative of it. Hopefully, if you do like what you hear, just tell another friend. One like goes a long way. Share the podcast, subscribe to it on iTunes, on YouTube. and anything you can do to help would be much, much appreciated, guys. And you know what? I'm just talking your ear off. I know. So that's going to be enough for me, guys. Happy Tuesday, August 1st. Hopefully this summer gets a little bit chillier because I have been melting out here. But you know what? Enough about getting hot. It's time to get wild. Dude, everybody likes the MJ creeping on you.
It's good ambiance.
Yeah, man. He's really it's a conversation starter, man.
Yeah.
They're like, what? We're doing a podcast and there's a 6'2" Michael Jackson life-size, cardboard cutout
right over your shoulder
with him wearing a lot of buckles and chains, and he's just giving me the dead eye.
Yeah, just don't go spend the night at his house.
No offense, when I said dead eye, I didn't mean that because he's dead. I mean,
I'm upset now. I'm still not over it.
Still not over it. Dude, I'm a big Michael Jackson fan. I don't know if you know that. I actually have a Michael Jackson tattoo.
I didn't know.
I'm 100% really into Michael Jackson. So
I couldn't read that with all the mood lighting.
Yeah, I know. The ambiance. Just one single lamp. The next thing, guys, if you were to be at the Smithsonian right now, you would know that it is pretty dim in here. So the next thing I'm going to do is invest in a nice side table and maybe some lamps. But unfortunately, there's only one accessible outlet, and there are quite a few things plugged into a power strip plugged into it. So
I'd say keep it.
You know what? Who cares, man? Just a dude's studio. Just come on over, sip some IBC root beers. I like that you brought your own beverages. Usually, I'm the one that supplies beverages for everybody.
No, I mean, we can't rely on you for everything. We gotta take some responsibility.
Take some responsibility around here.
And there is plenty in there.
Yeah, I might have one. It's so funny that you came prepared with IBC root beer.
Well, that's how we did all of our shows. We always just showed up with the Iron Falcon cooler full of IBCs and just started handing them out.
That's how we got our fans, man. That's how our fan base has grown.
Oh, yeah. Free root beer.
Organic. I love that. That's very organic. Yeah, I don't know. I'm glad that you brought yours because usually most people just request beer, which I had some. I'm sorry. How's that Pabst Blue Ribbon treatment?
Hey, it tastes like it was just opened.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell.
It tastes like it was just opened. Well, It was. To me, it just seems like it's a little old. Like maybe it had went on a camping trip and come back and got put directly back into my refrigerator. So. Yeah, I'm glad that you like it. Some people do request. The strangest request was Diet Dr. Pepper. I feel like
really
it's not a very strange request, but I feel like it was just kind of like some people are like, oh, water's fine, beer's fine.
It's very particular.
Yeah, but they're like, I would like a Diet Dr. Pepper. So
some kind of diva.
We made it happen. I
want this room at 73 degrees. A Diet Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, 73 degrees. You're gonna get that tonight because I'm leaving the AC on. It's just been too darn hot this summer.
It's been awful.
Yeah, and I used to do these interviews with the AC off, and then halfway through you had to open the door and take a few deep breaths, or else you were going to pass out.
So know how that goes.
You guys are in the lap of luxury right now.
It feels good.
I'm glad you feel good, man, and I feel good too. And guys, if you're listening, this is the Sean versus Wild podcast. Actually, strike that. This is going to be the Chris versus Wild podcast because I'm here with Chris Goins, Chris Doty, and I'm Chris Thriller Smith. It's the Chris versus Wild podcast here today. Just a bunch of Chris's. And you're in a band with another Chris, too.
Yeah.
Not this band, but a different band. How do you get along with so many Chris's?
I think they're just common.
It's
yeah, but I mean, how do you live? You just have to go by last name only?
Pretty much. Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Yeah, was it Kevin that first thought about calling or we were joking, or Kevin's wife was talking about calling the band Kevin and the Chris's.
Dude, that would have been perfect.
Which is what I want to do for like when we get a van. Like I'm always worried about having stuff stolen. So I want to get like a decal of like Kevin and Sons like painting company or something, so that
perfect.
Nobody's like, I want to go steal some paintbrushes.
Dude, I used to say, I made a comment a lot whenever I played music with Kevin that I was the drummer for Kevin and the Kevins. Actually, like I played drums for Kevin and the Kevins. So,
by the way, that's one of my favorite kind of band names. Is like just a name and the somebodies.
Yeah.
They're so funny to me for some reason.
It's perfect. And guys, well, Goins, Doty, thank you so much for joining me here today. And we're here to talk about you guys. And we're here to talk about Iron Falcon, your musical project, one of your musical projects. Let me ask you this though. I want to get a little backstory here for our listeners because we're relatively new friends, both of us. And I don't know, like, how did you guys get started? What kind of like? Let me start with you, Goins. Like, you're the guitarist extraordinaire.
Yes, sir.
And you're the producer. You were telling me earlier, like you're the one that's producing the music. You're the one doing the behind the scenes work as well.
Yeah, that's right. So I guess I'll go back to when Doty and I met. We'll start there. I used to play back in a band called Prices on Our Heads. It was kind of a deathcore thing, and that's sort of the background that I have with that. And so I would always, practice recording and editing and stuff like that just on my own. It was kind of a hobby just for fun at the time, but that's the stuff that I would always practice with. And we ended up finding Doty to play drums for us, and sort of the rest is all kind of history from there. Iron Falcon is sort of his brainchild, but we kind of just took that and ran with it, and Prices on Our Heads is history, and everything else from there just sort of kept going.
Yeah. What about you, Doty? I caught you, not in this band, but in a different band. Kevin and the Chris's. I caught Kevin and the Chris's the other day at Diamonds, and then the other day before that. And you're really as from one drummer to another, killed it.
Well, thank you. It means a lot.
What got you into playing drums?
My aunt is a drummer. She drums for Neon Trees.
Okay.
And she like when I was younger, she went on a mission trip with our church and was gone for a year and a half and left her drum set at my house. And my dad plays guitar. He was always trying to get me to play, and I'm pretty shy, and drums are a horrible instrument if you're shy to learn on, because like everybody can hear you just clanking around and sucking.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious if you're not very good.
Oh yeah, and there was no way to just be quiet about it. Like I couldn't just hide in my room with the acoustic guitar. And my dad talked me into playing it, and we started jamming like a Perfect Circle stuff, and I started playing about a month before she got back, so it was about a year and a half of prodding before I was finally like, oh, okay, I'll do it. And
I'll
then
commit.
And then after I started, after about a month of playing, I really enjoyed it. And then she came back and took her kit back, and for my birthday the next year,
life.
Yeah, for my birthday, the next year, I ended up I got a old crappy drum set for my birthday.
What was your first drum kit?
It was a Verve.
That's nice. What color was it?
It was black.
Nice. My first drum kit. I mentioned this on a podcast with a gal named Brittany Slays, but my very first drum kit that I had, the brand was Peace, Peace, and it was blue. And for some reason, like, if you were to ask me now, like, what is probably your least desirable color on a musical instrument, blue would definitely be it. But I love that drum kit. I mean, obviously, it's like one of those things when your parents save up, and like me growing up, it's not like my parents had a lot of money, so it was like they saved up, got me a used little kit for Christmas. That was a huge gift, and I loved it. But now, for some reason, after that, I'm like, blue, nah, not my thing.
Yeah, there's that kid at Kevin's house. That's
Oh, that bright blue.
Oh, it is so ugly.
I just feel like starter kits are blue.
Yeah.
Especially with drums. It's like almost every starter kit is blue. And when you kind of progress from there, like, you're not seeing a lot of high-end kits that are just solid
Just
blue.
Bright metallic blue.
Right, yeah.
It's got to be. See it in my head exactly the way you're talking about.
Exactly. So, yeah, and your aunt's in Neon Trees. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
I like it. You have nothing to say.
Well, I mean,
that's pretty cool. Yeah.
I mean, it's just, for me, it's like, it's always been a testament to never giving up. Like, she was either late 20s or early 30s when they got picked up, and she had been in other smaller bands before, and kind of hit that same stage where I feel like Kevin was at, to where everybody around him was kind of like, not wanting to push us hard, starting families and stuff. And she was kind of at that same kind of crossroads where the band she was in, people were like, my wife's kind of trying to get me to.
Well, the older you get,
down.
man, the more and more responsibilities.
Oh, for sure.
That come with it. That's why, I'm thankful. It's kind of a lonely life, guys. I'm not trying to bum you out, but it's like one of those things where I'm thankful, though, that I didn't plant a lot of roots because now I am able to just basically do whatever I'd like to do now, and I've accomplished a lot of what I wanted to accomplish. I was able to do that in music. Now I have the podcast, and luckily for me, this is pretty much like a stay-at-home gig for the most part. And so, I'm kind of able to do that now. But that's a big thing with bands. Most people fail just they just stop trying, or there's just a lack of trying to start to begin with.
Right.
But but life gets in the way. That's the hardest thing about it. Is the older you get, the more responsibilities you get. You get a job. You have a significant other. You might have kids. You might have a house or rent or bills or whatever. And a lot of times going out on the road making no money gets in the way of that. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. That's the biggest part of why Iron Falcon is just Doty and I right now. We had
just two bachelors, bro.
Exactly. We had our full lineup. We played some shows and stuff, but just real life kind of got in the way for a couple of the guys. They weren't able to commit as much time as we were able to, and so we just kind of sticking to this right now, and it seems to be working pretty well for the time being.
Dude, that's why I started doing a podcast. Honestly, is because if I can rely on just me, and I know that I'll give 100%, then that means
all you need,
the
man.
brand is giving 100%. Every time, and you don't have to worry about anybody else doing anything else. It's just rests on your shoulders, which might seem like a lot of responsibility, but as a lot of people know, it's a hell of a lot easier when it's just one or two people, guiding the ship. You know what I'm saying? You don't have a lot of chiefs and Indians or cooks and kitchens. I don't know. You know how the old adage goes. Maybe not.
Adage.
Dude, I think you guys are pumped on the fact that I have Rocky going on in the background here.
I've actually never seen this movie before. I'll be
You've never
completely
seen
honest.
Rocky?
I've never seen Rocky.
The third one was my favorite because of Mr. T. I used to love Mr. T.
Clubber Lang. Dude, he rips one of the best lines in all of history, dude. He burns Rocky so hard. They're outside, and he just looks at Adrian and goes, "Hey, woman, you ever been with a real man?" Dude, fires Rocky right up. Mr. T knocked it right out of the park. Clubber Lang.
Oh, it was so good.
He's the best, man. I feel like he's underrated. A lot of people give Ivan Drago all the snaps from Rocky IV.
Oh yeah, that's because he moved and was freaking punching cows and stuff.
It's because of that training in Siberia. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that was a significant scene.
That was very significant.
But I was always a big fan of his mohawk that wrapped around into his facial hair.
It's the best.
Oh, it was so good.
I'm thinking, dude, if I had a little bit of, you got that almost going on right now.
Well, that's the thing is I tried to do the actual Mr. T wrap around, but I'm white, so it just kind of like just hangs down, and it looked real bad.
Real badass.
I was like,
that's what it sounds like to me.
I was like, no, I'll just stick with the mohawk.
Hey, well, dude, you are literally just a few hairs on the side away. You could make that happen for you.
Well, I'll grow it out and show you how bad it looks.
Exactly how badass it looks. So, okay, well, what's the story behind Iron Falcon? Like, what was the idea? When did you guys start? How long has this been a thing? What are the deets?
This one's all Doty. I'm gonna let him take us back to the start on that.
Take us back to the Stone Age on this one.
Way back in high school.
And how long ago was that?
It's almost a freaking 10-year anniversary from my graduation.
Is it really?
What year did you graduate?
How old are you?
I'm almost, meaning it's been 8 years.
Okay. Still, you look young, bro. I would have mistook you for easily 23.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought for sure I'd be like, this guy, 23, 24. Same with you. How old are you?
25.
Okay, well.
Graduated in 2010.
How old are you?
27.
27.
Old.
Notice how I was doing the math in my head, and then when I was gonna guess your ages, I was like, "Hey, how old are you?" I'm not about to invest any more time in mental math.
Right. I don't blame you.
Well, there's no point in really trying to be like 37, 8 years.
I was the belle of the ball my 10-year anniversary. I'm not gonna lie, dude. I was, I don't know. Not that even matters, but I did go to my 10-year reunion, and I was like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" And everybody's like, "Dude, you're in a band? Cool, bro." I'm just on my third kid and my fourth marriage, and I'm like, great.
Wife just keeps getting bigger.
Oh, my wasted opportunities.
I should have pursued my dreams.
I love that. Charlestown High School, class of 2004. Shout out to you guys. You're still.
I graduated from Jeff High.
Jeff High, did you?
I'm right at the boundary into Charlestown, where I was still in
Jeff High territory. I like it that you
reason.
I feel a kinship with you because you said you're from Charlestown.
Well, I didn't want to mislead you and think that I was like dead meth center of Charlestown.
Yeah. Well, you have all your teeth, and it's a beautiful, it's a beautiful thing. So, Charlestown, shout out, guys. It's great. All right, so let's take it back to the high school days. Your old stomping ground, Jeff High.
Yeah.
Circa 2008.
Well, I was in a band called Heavy Limbs and Large Extremities with this guy, Jordan Redinger and Aaron Heath, a bunch of those guys, a bunch of the New Albany guys. And for some reason, the vocalist of that band started doing just this hillbilly band, and they just started writing some southern stuff. And like we released one verse and one chorus of a song that was just super stupid, but we called ourselves Iron Falcon, and it just took off. Like people started getting like jean jackets, spray painting falcons on them and stuff, and I was like, man, people really like kind of responded to it. And then that thing just kind of fell apart. Nobody was really dedicated with it. And so I've just always wanted, and I had like, I can write songs, but I don't play guitar.
Right.
So I need somebody to translate, and Chris is a great translator. So I'll just kind of mouth a riff to him, and he can be like, oh, like this, and like just play exactly how I heard it. And I was like, so we were in Prices together, and I've always like wanted to do this song that I wrote in high school, and I still remember it. And then, so one night we were just goofing around and we were recording and stuff, and I was like, hey, can you try playing this riff? And so
are you going to sing it?
Which one was it?
Keep It Falcon.
And so I would just like was doing this, and he played it like exactly how I was like, holy crap, like, you know, let's go ahead and try to record this. So like the night we actually recorded a bunch of stuff, I was like, man, I wonder if Jordan would let us use that name, because that was kind of his baby. And it was that night we went to Buffalo Wild Wings, and he was there. It always happens. And he was there. So I went up to him. I was like, dude, I was just thinking about you. Is it all right if we use the name Iron Falcon? And he was like, I mean, as long as you don't use the song I wrote, I'm cool with it. So I was like, yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah. And so we were doing Prices on our heads, and then kind of just goofing around doing Iron Falcon stuff, just writing songs, just me and him. And then Prices on our heads kind of fell apart once Chris left, because that's pretty much what it was. That was the most awkward practice of my life.
I threw a temper tantrum and I walked out one day.
Dude, tell me the story.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. No,
why don't you just tell me the deets here, okay? Don't just come in half throttle, half cocked on this one.
I don't want to get in here and start talking shit about any of my previous bandmates or anything. But it was one of those things where I just felt like I was pulling all the weight, and nothing was getting done without me having to hold people's hands. And finally, I just threw my hands up and said, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm leaving. You guys can keep doing it if you want to do it, and if not, sorry.
It's just like one of those things, like when you're in your first bands, where you just take your Line 6 amp and you just beat it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
No, but it was so awkward for me, because like
he was a new guy in the band at the time.
When I'd only been in the band for just a couple months, and like when I first joined, everybody was always kind of giving me hey, heads up, Chris has got kind of a hot head. He's can be hard to get along with. And then me and him just clicked like right away.
Yeah.
And, he started asking me to come over, and we were like writing Prices stuff together. And I don't know if everybody else got kind of pissed off about it or what was going on. But like when he flipped out and quit or walked out, like I knew like, okay, this band it's not going to, nothing else is going to happen, because he was pretty much the mastermind behind it. And so I was just bummed out, because like, daggone it, like I finally met somebody who I like clicked with.
Yeah.
And we wrote really well together. Like things were going so good. I'm just like sitting there bummed out, and I'm like, I think he hates me. And then it was like a couple weeks later, he sent me a message. He was like, hey, you want to drum for another project I'm working on right now? I was like, okay, good. He doesn't hate me.
Right. Yeah.
And yes, I'm interested.
What a hothead.
Right.
Goins, I didn't know you were such a hothead.
Nah, I've had a temper in the past, but it's just one of those character flaws.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've had a temper.
No, it's been...
Oh.
And like that's the thing with everybody warning me about how much of a hothead he is. Like we've only gotten in one argument, and that's about it.
I don't even remember what argument that was.
It was about Do you want to talk about it?
Let's go.
We'll leave it up to the imagination of the listener.
Just know it was real bad.
Hey, I found myself in a similar situation with a similar person that was like, hey, he's a hot-headed person and he's hard to get along with, and he and I had a successful professional partnership for 13 years. And that's Kevin.
Yeah.
And we still have a professional partnership because we work together now outside of the band. And it's just kind of one of those things, though, like you just need, it's like that fire and water element or whatever, the opposites. It's like Paul Abdul and that rapping cat, opposites that just attract, you know what I'm saying? It's just how it rolls.
Yeah.
So, okay, and so you decided you're gonna join, you're gonna start up this Iron Falcon thing, and then you've got Goins on board, you've got the blessing of the name. Where did you guys? So you just started scatting riffs, and
I felt like for the first couple songs, it kind of went back and forth. Like I would scat out an idea, he would translate it to a guitar, and then like he would get in. Sometimes at work, he would just tell me like, "Dude, I've had this riff in my head like all day," and so he'll just go home and send me a song like without any of my input in it.
Right.
And I'm like, all right, this is awesome, and then that'll trigger another idea for me. So we'll just kind of.
Let me ask you guys both this question. What kind of music did you guys grow up listening to?
Deathcore.
Deathcore?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what are some of your first favorite bands?
Well, some of my first favorites would have to be, if we're going way back, Marilyn Manson, Slipknot, that kind of stuff. I was really into like the industrial, like new metal kind of.
Yeah, I was really into Static X.
Oh, yeah.
Were you ever into Static X?
There you go.
Rest in peace.
I remember buying a copy of Wisconsin Death Trip for $6.99 at Circuit City. And I was like,
that's an old sentence
City,
right there.
Yeah, I was like, man, I'm gonna check this out. It's the price is right for me. I'm like, maybe 12 years old. I was like, $7, I can afford this. And went home and put it in, and I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever heard. That's like, and I wasn't even like real into Marilyn Manson or anything at the time, but Circuit City used to have sweet $7 CDs because I found like Power Man 5000 on the $7 CD rack. Tonight the Stars Revolt, $6.99 at Circuit City.
I don't know if I ever bought any CDs from Circuit City.
I don't think I did either. That might have been before our time, Sean.
Yeah.
I would always, have
See, I'm 31, so I've got a few years on both of you. But
I was the old, Mom, can you drop me off at the mall? And I'd walk around like a dork, looking in the CD stores there.
Yeah, but see, I was always too smart for that because I knew that they were going to price gouge you if you're at the mall.
Yeah.
I knew if you go to Camelot or Disc Jockey or FYE that you were going to have to pay $20 for a CD. And I'm like, Circuit City, $7.
Well, for me, I had a deal worked out with my parents that if I mowed the lawn, I could get a CD. So every week, I'd get a brand new CD.
Okay, and what music did you grow up listening to?
I listened to Slipknot and Marilyn Manson and Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah. I remember the first time I ever heard Slipknot. This is no shit. I was in an AOL chat room. Okay?
Wow.
AOL chat room. This is probably 1998, whenever the first album came out. We were like, I was like talking about all the bands that I like dude, I'm into Power Man, I'm into Static X, whatever. I'm in a chat room talking about this new metal that I'm really into that I don't know anything about because I'm just 12 years old. Anyway, somebody said, hey, I'm from Iowa, you need to check out this band called Slipknot, they're awesome. And I was like, oh, cool. And they're like, they're so heavy. They're way heavier than all this other shit. And I was like, okay. Like thinking to myself, I'm like, all right. Somebody on AOL Instant Messenger just told me about Slipknot. I'm going to find like the next coolest band ever. And I went to Better Days Music on Bardstown Road. And they had a copy. I was like, well, I'm going to look and see if this Slipknot band is big enough to have a CD out. And they did, and it was the first pressing of the first album, which is different. It has different songs on it from the album that anybody else has, or not. Well, anybody else has now. They have a song called "Me Inside" and a few other things that just weren't on later releases.
Frail Limb Nursery and some other stuff like that.
Exactly, and that's the one that I bought. It doesn't.
Awesome.
It doesn't have like the Jester or whatever. Like the guy number 4, Jim Root. Damn, remembered his name, Jim Root. He's wearing like some bondage hood on the cover, like they didn't Photoshop that out or anything. And I bought it, and I was like, I literally put it on, and I remember like the very first time I put it on, I was like, this is the heaviest thing I have ever heard in my life.
Oh yeah.
Like, because before that, I was like, Static X and like Ozzy Osbourne and like, whatever. But
Yeah.
that was absolutely the turning point where I was like, this is the heaviest thing I've ever heard in my life.
That was definitely the first metal band I ever got a hold of where I was like, whoa, this is great.
True story. I was listening to it. I was raised by my grandparents and my mom, and we all grew up, at the family compound. I told you I grew up in Charlestown or whatever on some farmland, so we all grew up there in the same little area. And I remember my grandparents overhearing me listening to that CD, and I remember my grandpa who doesn't care about whatever music I listen to at all, but he just literally comes up to me and goes, "That man sounds like he's dying." And I'm like, yeah, this thing called Slipknot.
I feel like he did ruin his voice because like the peak Corey Taylor voice for me was Iowa.
Yeah, Iowa's brutal. That's such a great album.
yeah.
I still I broke my seat in my car listening to that album because I'm just
Jamming to it while you're driving.
for real. Like it just rocked back. Now I think I broke the bolts on the floor of it, but
Well, how are two guys that grew up listening to metal? How do you guys transition from metal into the amalgam that is Iron Falcon?
well, for me it was just I played metal for so long I just kind of got sick of it.
Yeah, you guys very much to me are still have like a metal edge, but also too it's very southern rock, country, even like when I hear it, I think of like Maylene and the Sons of Disaster.
I was just about to say that was one of the bands that changed my life. I was like, whoa, you can be southern and metal? Like,
Yeah.
At the same time.
Hey man, Pantera just didn't get the message across.
they weren't southern enough. He was still too angry.
They're from Texas. That's as south as it gets.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, he just sounded too pissed off. He
Yeah.
didn't have that twang. Unless,
true.
did you ever listen to Rebel Meets Rebel?
I've heard of this.
It is
refresh my memory.
horrendous. It's after Phil left Pantera.
Okay.
It was still the core of Pantera.
Right.
With David Allan Coe doing vocals.
I could only imagine how terrible that was.
It's one of the worst albums. It's second to Metallica's Lulu, the album they did with Lou
Oh my
Reed.
gosh! Don't even get me started, dude.
You've heard of that one?
Oh yeah, definitely.
You're one of the first people that we've spoken to, I think, that's heard of that.
It's
at
garbage,
least.
dude. It's garbage.
Dude, me and my the old bassist for Iron Falcon, we were having a listening party. We were like, dude, we're gonna when this thing leaks.
Yeah.
Because I certainly wasn't buying it.
We're gonna get on LimeWire. We're going to
we're
make
gonna
this.
we're gonna torrent this. We had a listening party and like we downloaded 3 different torrents because we thought it was we were like, what is this? Like this is a
Yeah.
joke. Next one, and it took like 3 of them before we're like, wait a minute, this is the actual album.
This is what we're getting here.
Yeah.
Dude, Metallica, just to go off on another tangent, because that's the best part about podcasts, you just go off on tangents. But dude, Metallica is like one of these bands where people really love Metallica, and I agree to a certain extent. And there are albums that I think are good that some purists might think are garbage. Like I'm like, oh, Load and Reload, like I can forgive that. Like that's pretty good. But something about the shit that they were doing between Reload, between Garage Inc. and Death Magnetic, I'm like, what are you doing?
One of the biggest questions I have is how do you get at least the people in the band and a producer to give an, oh yeah, sure, that snare sounds good.
Yeah,
on
that
Saint
snare
Anger.
is garbage. Hey, did you see Some Kind of Monster?
Oh, of course, and them crying about it.
Oh my god! If you ever want to see your heroes, like, if you ever just genuinely want to see your heroes let you down, Some Kind of Monster is genuinely the movie to watch.
Now,
hilarious.
I do love that riff
Yeah,
from the actual song "Some Kind of Monster."
yeah. Well, I mean, everything has its silver lining, but yeah, it's like, yeah. Oh, I want to see James Hetfield, like one of the coolest, most metal dudes ever, like with his soccer wife, like soccer mom wife, like complaining about his kids with Lars Ulrich, who's like, and Kurt Hammett's like, would everybody just please stop screaming at me? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, this is dumb, man. This sucks.
One of my favorite parts from that whole thing was watching Lars trying to figure out that drum beat,
Yeah,
and it was just horrible. It's like,
Dude.
just stop.
he's horrible now.
Have you seen like the compilation clips of him messing up live?
No, but I would love to, and that's probably what I'll watch as soon as this podcast is over. As soon as this wraps.
Oh yeah.
Though I do sympathize with Lars because I feel like we're from the very same school. I don't know if this was a real tweet, but I sure as hell stood by it as it was because, and I reposted it and everything. But there was a tweet that I found from Lars Ulrich's account, whether that's real or not, whatever. But it says, "Am I the best drummer ever? No. But do I practice every day to get better? Also no." I was like, do I try my hardest every day to be better? Also no. And I was like, that's so genius because that's the way I felt about my drumming. It's like it was just right in the pocket. It just is what it was. And I'm not trying to play like double bass and 30-second notes or whatever. But it's like, am I the best drummer ever? No. But do I practice every day to get better? Also no.
You were very solid.
That's what I had going for me. That was my style.
Yeah.
But that's what it was. I don't know. Not only did that work out for me because I have a lazy streak in me when it comes to that sort of thing, it also just worked out for that. It set me apart. I feel like everybody at the time, and not to crap on somebody or anything like that, but
You can go ahead.
the thing is like one of those things where music has become so similar and every band sounds so similar and a lot of people have a similar style and you're going to see whatever that just to have somebody that's super solid play a single bass drum, a small kit, and not do a lot of fancy fills and tricks and all that sort of thing. It became a thing of the past. It became something that you didn't see. So I was like, that's kind of the novelty of it is like, I'm just going to be as loud as possible while being as solid as possible. Yeah. Instead of playing 10,000 very light drum strokes across the kit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and speaking of warming up, because I know we were talking about warming up, or we're not warming up, but we were talking about like when you suck at drums, like it's obviously very noticeable. One of my favorite things to do on tour was when I warmed up, I would be awful.
As bad as possible.
As awful as I possibly
that's
could.
Funny.
And I'd show up with my Mapex kit that was just like my road kit, and it had seen a lot better days, but it sounds, I mean, still right now, it sounds awesome. And I'd just show up and people would be like, oh, you don't have any tracks? You don't have any whatever? And I'm like, no. Then,
What?
And then, yeah. And then, just kind of set up and be crappy during warm up. Just like hit the drums like bare minimum. Try to play some crappy fills. And then people will just be like, what is going on here? And then just explode 100% with raw masculine power.
Well, that's the thing is like, there are so many drummers that like try to be that good drummer without having the skill. So they're like playing above their actual playing capability and they just suck.
Yeah. It's really cool or for me, it was like always one of those things. It's like, I'm not going to try to be as fancy as everybody else because I know that that's just above my skill set. I'd much rather do what I like to do. And it's something that no one else is doing. So a lot of times people that had an amazing skill set would come to me like, dude, you're awesome. That ruled. I've not seen anything like that, at least not lately. And it reminds me of, ex drummer from the past. And like, that's what inspires me when I played too, is just like, I'm not inspired by math metal. I'm inspired by, Queen or Black Sabbath or Kiss or something like that,
I've always found that people are a lot more impressed by you if you're good at what you're comfortable with versus if you're trying to play the craziest possible thing that you can think of, if you can play what you were good at, and as long as you're good at it,
just stay in your lane, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Stay in your lane.
Just stay in your lane.
That's right.
That should be the next Iron Falcon song. Stay in your lane, brother.
I can do it.
Toss that one around. Yeah,
we'll see what's happening. But speaking of the next Iron Falcon song, you guys have prepared a piece, as I like to say.
Yes, sir.
You will be performing it via recording that I will drop in on this podcast.
Live on MP3.
All right. So tell me about the new song here that you have brought with you today.
You wrote it.
All right. Well,
hey, don't try to pass the buck,
it was
guys.
it was just one of those ones. I was bored at home one day, just jamming some guitar, practicing some licks, and came up with that little intro lick that I guess you're about to hear that I liked pretty well, and just kind of ran with that, wrote a song, and it just sounded like a barn party to me. So that's what I named it. Passed it off to Doty, and he came up with lyrics around that theme.
Well, that's the thing is that usually he'll write the music and go ahead and name it as to what he feels.
Yeah.
And then I'll write lyrics around that title.
Gotcha. Well, it is a barn burner. I will tell you that. So I've been listening to it. And literally, like, as soon as I listened to it, I sent Doty a message. Was like, I cannot wait to talk to you guys.
He had to screenshot that and send it to me. He was so excited about you saying that.
It meant a lot.
Yeah. So as soon as I saw it, I was like, I cannot wait to talk to you guys. All right. Well, without further ado, you guys are about to get slapped in the face with metal, country, and a little rap, I think. If you want to put it together. But not like Cowboy Troy here. Don't let me...
Dude, I just found out about Cowboy Troy, like, a month ago, and it was horrible. I think I sent it to you, didn't I?
I don't remember hearing it. No.
Awful.
Yeah, awesome. You're right. It was yeah, old Cowboy Troy. All right, guys, this is Iron Falcon with Barn Party.
Keep your recording, but I still get buck wild at the barn party. At the barn party. At the barn party. Let the day barn party.
Oh yeah, everybody. That was Iron Falcon with Barn Party, and that makes me want to party. Have you ever been to an actual barn party?
I have.
I figured you would. Being from Charlestown, I knew you had to. What about you?
I have
Goins?
not. Nope.
Man, you just had a fantasy about what a barn party would be like?
Yeah, I guess so. You know, I recorded it and I said, you know, if I were to go to a barn party, this is what it would sound like.
Absolutely. Barn parties, I are just like a lot of Dixie cups, and maybe you're lucky enough to get a keg, and then people sit around a fire, and then
Not in the barn, of course.
not in the barn, of course, not proper ventilation.
You're gonna burn
That's
that
not
thing down.
That's not up to code, brother. There's hay all over this.
Fire marshal's gonna shut you right down.
Hey, dude. My cousin Timmy's a fire marshal, dude. He's gonna take this party down real quick. He's gonna put the kibosh on this party, brother. I'll tell you what. Could you imagine somebody say that? Like, hey, brother, he's gonna put the kibosh on this. Bro. But yeah, you just drink a lot of Miller High Life and PBR, and there might be a campfire around. Who knows?
Well, of course, you gotta have a campfire.
Yeah, dude. Well, I like just to talk about the song a bit, because when I first heard it, as I mentioned, as soon as I heard it, I was like, I have to talk to you about this. So it is one of those things where, to me, it Maylene, definitely a lot of Maylene and Sons of Disaster, but I'm getting a like kind of like a Yellow Wolf vibe to it too.
I do love Yellow Wolf.
Yeah.
Dude, who doesn't?
It's a big inspiration for both of us right there.
Dude, Trunk Music, that's the jam right there.
Oh, yeah.
I don't much care for some of the other stuff. Like,
Have you heard his most recent?
I have not.
Love Story?
But I know he goes like a little bit more like folky, or like, that sort of thing.
It was good.
That's the one that I bump in my car. Is Love Story. It's primo.
It's primo.
You guys can't see me, but I'm holding my thumbs up right
Yeah,
now. So.
you're like, it's thumbs up, guys. Just so you know, podcast, very visual medium.
Yeah.
Thumbs way up. I'm giving a way up thumbs up. So, okay, yeah. Now, two dudes growing up with metal. You can definitely hear the metal influence. You can hear the Maylene influence. And now you got this whole you got a country spin on it.
Yeah.
And you're two boys from the Midwest, being as southern as possible.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, what's the reaction been like when you guys play out?
Entirely positive.
Really?
Yeah. I was kind of surprised at the sort of response that we were getting from people, because playing in the metal scene and metal bands, that kind of stuff, there's a lot of I don't know what the best word is for it, but everybody kind of has that elitist attitude. You know that your band sucks, our band's the best one. But once we started playing this stuff, it was just head and night and day difference type stuff. Everybody was very, very responsive, very positive about it. Everybody loved it. I get a lot of people asking me about it all the time, which surprises me, frankly. But
well, I feel like anytime anybody does anything remotely different, it's going to be met with a response.
Yeah.
Whether positive or negative, it's going to be met with a response, because so many people, I feel, are saturated with the exact same thing.
Yeah.
We were just at a show last weekend, and with all the bands that played, almost every band besides your other band, Summer Youth, besides them, I felt like every band had a very similar vibe to it. Mm-hmm. And I know personally, and again, not taking any shots with anybody, there's nothing wrong if that's the music you guys are into or anybody's into. That's perfectly fine with me. But when you start hitting the touring circuit, you start seeing a lot or hearing a lot of bands that have a very similar sound to what's mainstream right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that always happens. Hey, Motley Crue gets big, Quiet Riot gets big, and then there's a decade of hair metal.
Yeah, all of a sudden everybody wants to sound like Motley Crue and Quiet Riot.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like doing anything new and different is always going to raise some eyebrows, good or bad.
Yeah,
the eyebrows are either going to be on fleek or they're going to be piss poor.
Yeah.
So yeah, and did either of you guys grow up or have any like country music influences at all?
I'll let you go first, Doty.
Yeah. I mean, like, when I was real young, I liked it. Like, my dad used to bring me home, like, the truck stop cassette tapes.
Oh, yeah.
But I got out of that real fast.
Was your dad a truck driver?
No.
No, okay.
He's a diesel mechanic, so
gotcha.
He would, be at, like, the truck stop stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff, and just bring me home some old
Hank,
some old school, like that John Deere Green.
That's Joe Diffie. See, that's my jam, bro.
Dude,
Joe Diffie.
And something in me, like, I hate all this new country, but
Right.
I loved like that old school, real twangy.
Well, there's something to it, and I think there's a reason why. I don't know if you guys know this, but do you know who the greatest selling or the best selling artist of the decade of the 90s was?
I do not.
Garth Brooks. Think about that. A country artist outsold Michael Jackson, outsold Madonna, Britney Spears, whatever that came out for a whole decade. This dude did it. And so there's like a certain magic that I feel like. I like classic old school country that like my grandparents would listen to, you know, me growing up listening to that with them. But there's a certain magic of that late 80s to mid 90s country music.
Oh yeah, it was
Garth. I mean, it's just on top of the world, man. Garth and Joe Diffie with the John Deere Green. John Anderson, Travis Tritt, Randy Travis.
Yeah. Dude, I was a huge John Anderson fan. The first time I really heard John Anderson was pretty recently.
Yeah.
And it was while I was at work. I work at a diesel shop, and I was inside of a box truck doing repairs, and I couldn't hear what song it was or what he was saying, but I just heard his cadence. And you know how John Anderson, like, it just sounds like he's being played in reverse.
Yeah.
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 I was like, what song is this?
It's probably Straight Tequila Night.
It was.
Yep, that was the one.
It sounds just like him, dude. He does sound like he's been playing in reverse. My very first concert, Six Flags, over Mid America, which is in St. Louis. I saw John Anderson after spending an awesome day at Six Flags.
No
and I
way.
was
See,
like
that's a
8 years
good
old.
day.
That was my very first concert that I ever went to. So there you go. So what's in the pipeline for Iron Falcon? Because you got this brand new song, but something tells me this isn't going to be the only brand new song.
We're gonna retire after.
You know what? We've hit our pinnacle, brother.
That's right.
We've hit the pinnacle, man. There's nowhere to go from here.
No, like I said earlier, we've got this one song. Hopefully, it's going to be part of an EP or an album coming up. We're shooting for fall. Hopefully, we can make that deadline because we haven't actually started recording anything yet.
We've got what, 6?
We've got about 5 or 6 songs in the works right now that we'll be putting together, and that are in the works. Hopefully, we'll be releasing them soon, and we'll just kind of see what the future holds for us from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got to give it up to you guys, because I know I kind of touched on it earlier, but the fact that you do your own production and you like make your own music videos and all that sort of thing, that's something that I've wanted, that I always was like, man, I wish I had this capability. Even with this podcast, spoiler alert, guys, my good friend Joe Brock helps me out tremendously with the mixing and the editing of it. Yeah. It sounds okay, and then he makes it sound 100% natural.
Oh, he's a king.
Super natch, if you will. So
Nice plug there.
Yeah, exactly. So what made you decide that you're just going to be 100% self-sufficient, I guess?
Well, again, like the music production stuff, that's always just kind of been a hobby of mine. I picked that up from my dad. He's always dabbled with music and production and that kind of stuff too. So I just sort of picked that up from him. With the video work, photography is just one of those things I've always wanted to kind of get into, and we've never really had a means to practice it, I guess.
Sure.
And this was just a good opportunity to start, get a hold of a little GoPro and start doing pictures and videos and stuff like that. And sooner, before you know it, we had a couple of videos thrown together, and that's it.
Dude, to become self-sufficient like that, I mean, that's all you need anymore.
Yeah.
Well, it saves so much money.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you can do it yourself, I envy that, man, because I was, for 14 years, 13 years, whatever, I was in a band that didn't even have backing tracks. I was in a band that didn't even play to a metronome, so the production quality was not up to today's standards. And unfortunately, while it's cool and it's like its own thing, like, a lot of people enjoyed our band because it was raw like that. Unfortunately, it seems like you're just kind of on the wrong side of history when you do that, because everybody else is going to be doing that and it's become expected.
Yeah, it seems like whenever you go to see a band anymore, you're listening more to a computer than you are, musicians playing.
What do you think about that?
Part of me likes it, part of me doesn't. Summer Youth does it. We use the backing tracks and the metronome and all that kind of stuff. Iron Falcon, we made it a point when we started playing not to do that because we like that raw sound and we wanted to try to get that out of it. But it's kind of hit or miss. You can make it sound nice and polished live, or you can make it sound real raw and edgy.
I think 100% it's all about how people use it, because, not to call anyone out in particular, but, when we played Warped Tour for 2 years, it's very strange to go to Warped Tour, which I went to, the decade prior in 2002, 3, 4 as a fan, 2005 as a fan, to go there, 10 years later and see people lip sync or see people play, have guitar solos that just weren't there, or backing vocals that aren't there. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of strange.
I was gonna say we've been joking about that the past couple of weeks about
completely backing tracking all of our guitars, faking it, and then just stopping halfway through and just letting the music keep playing.
It'll just become karaoke with the Iron Falcon.
Yeah.
No, that stuff kind of drives me nuts. I don't like it when, like you said, singers will lip sync, that kind of stuff, just completely fake it. That drives me nuts. Backing tracks are one thing, but I think that's a step too far.
You just got to use it. You still got to. It's still got to have some organic, like an organic nature. There's got to be, for me, the human feel. That human error is great. Yeah. So even like when I listen to an album, like as a drummer, and Doty, you might be the exact same way, but sometimes I'll listen to an album and they'll be like, dude, did you hear this drummer? And I'm like, yeah, it's great, except for the fact that it's all been replaced. It's all been quantized. It's all the same sounds from the Superior Drummer program that you've heard a million times on any other album. And it's one of those things where it's so perfect, I don't even know if it's a real person or not. For all I know, they're just programmed. Yeah. And they just, you know what I'm saying? So
it hurts your soul a little bit. I think it takes something away from the music.
As a drummer, I feel like drummers are going to be rendered obsolete after a certain point.
And that's why you got to get as good as a computer.
Yeah. Which that would never have happened for me. So now I'm a podcaster.
Because that's the one thing, like when we were doing, I know you didn't want to talk about Summer Youth a whole lot, but like when I was doing the drum tracks for that, like I was like, because Kevin was like, no, we could go ahead and just, have them, program
it.
Sure.
And I was like, no, I want to play them. Like, and so I sat there just practicing playing to the metronome. Like I wanted to make sure I could not only like nail it, but of course I feel bad because Chris is, doing all the mixing and stuff, like
sure,
out of the goodness of his heart, and he's not charging any money because he's in the band. So I'm like, I don't want to make things hard on him, and I like him there to tell me like, hey, that sucked. Or I'll be able to. I could deal with that.
My whole thing is whenever I played, I always just memorized everything, and I memorized it down to the most insane nuance. So that way, I just played it almost the exact same way. I mean, 99% of the time, it was played the exact same way every single night.
Well, yeah, that's what you got to do, because I think once you start trying to be creative on the spot, a lot of times I feel like you'll lose like that confidence. Like when you really know what you're supposed to be doing, like you can just hit it, no problem, not even think about it. I should be like, I'm gonna ad lib this fill real quick, and then it's like, oh crap, like
I tried, I messed it up. Then we're all smiling at each other, laughing.
Well, that first show you came to, I freaking butchered my favorite fill in the whole set both times that I played it.
Phil Anselmo. Who's your favorite Phil? Uncle Phil from from Fresh Prince. Butchered him, bro. So that's how he went. R.I.P. Should be funny because he did just die recently, like within the last year or two.
I was gonna say, was it the other weekend?
Yeah, it was the other weekend when I butchered him.
Yeah. Well, now we know what happened to
Cops,
him.
if you're listening, didn't happen. But yeah, you try to get creative on the spot, man. That's what happens.
On the flip side of that, from a guitar perspective, for me, I'm always extremely jealous of a guitar player that can just ad lib like that, because I've never been able to do that on a guitar.
Who are some of your favorite guitarists?
Well, again, growing up, I was always into, the death metal, deathcore type stuff. But Mark Okubo from Veil of Maya was a big inspiration for me. Misha Mansour from Periphery, a couple, those types of guys. The gent.
It's absolutely next level, though, man. Some of their guitar work is insane.
Yeah. I definitely couldn't keep up with those guys at all, but I love listening to it. Love trying to learn those riffs and licks and that kind of stuff, and that's been a huge inspiration for me.
What about you? What's some of your favorite drummers growing up?
Or Joey Jordison.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh yeah,
that was like my biggest.
So that's why you've been wearing a mask this whole interview. So that explains it.
Not only did he influence my drumming, but my outfit.
I will not reveal my identity. Doty is simply a code name.
Well, I mean, daggone, he is ugly. So like, I remember when I first saw him without. Yeah, I mean, it hurts my heart. Because he was such a good drummer, but like when he took off his mask, I was like, "What the heck? Like, why is his forehead so big?"
Yeah, it just feels like his face was completely scrunched up into one few inch radius.
Oh,
I can't say anything, dude. I have a big forehead, and with the fact that I'm bald now, it just got even bigger.
Well, that's the thing. So. It's like you can't tell where
You can't. Yeah, you don't know where it starts and begins. I've always had a big forehead, though. So, you know, it is what it is.
It doesn't look abnormal.
Look like a back of my hand.
you don't have a Jordison.
You don't have
forehead.
a 5 head, at least.
That's true. See, I don't have a hair down to my ass either. That really accentuates.
Well, not only that, but it was the butt part.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if you looked at the old pictures of him and stuff, but like he would paint the top of his forehead because his mask didn't cover it.
I never noticed that. You pair that with the
would
fact
like
that
stop right here, so he would paint the top of his forehead.
Perfect.
then you pair that with the fact that he was a solid 4 foot nothing.
Yeah, that's true. I remember in like one of the very first I used to have a Slipknot VHS. Okay, so that goes to tell you when I got the first album. I paid $20 for it at Suncoast Video when that was around. And
I remember that.
It was like 15 minutes long. Like why you even released it, I don't even know, dude. It had like a live version of Surfacing, a live version of Wait and Bleed, and the video for Spit It Out, I believe. And but they had, I remember seeing him having a shirt that said "Short people kill people." And I was thinking, I remember in my youth, I was like, hey, dude, I'm only like 5'5", brother. I need that shirt. But really, if I had it, it just should say fat people. We were talking about how you like Ghost or whatever. And did you notice this when you went to the concert? I don't want to sound like a jerk or anything, but to me, going to the Ghost concert, I was like, man, it made me feel good because as someone that's been overweight my whole life, like I went to that Ghost concert, and I was like, damn, dude, I'm like in really good shape. It was like going to Golden Corral for me. It was, dude. I was like, man, I'm in great shape. Look at me, dude.
I did notice
Do they
that.
have a chocolate fountain there?
I mean, like, I've been worried about dieting and exercise. Psh, nah, not after this, bro.
Well, you think it cuts down on their ticket sales for general admission?
That's true, man.
Too many. Well, because what the capacity would be like?
We're at 3,000 capacity, but we can only fit 2,000 at this point. I don't want to say. I don't know, man. And if you went to that Ghost show, you look great, and so did I. I will tell you that. I wore my Sean vs. Wild T-shirt there.
Well, to be fair, you didn't say where it was.
That's true.
So you're safe.
No one knows where it was. And speaking of that, and as a nice segue, no, since we are wrapping up here, we're at the home stretch. Where can people find Iron Falcon in the world? On the internet. Specifically on the internet.
On the internet.
Or in the world.
Oh, I mean, you can find us right here, Southern Indiana.
At the Smithsonian, brother.
No, we're on Spotify, iTunes, pretty much anywhere you can find a good old tune bag.
iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, Pandora, Facebook, Bandcamp.
Anywhere you can find a tune bag.
There you go.
You heard it here
Big
first,
old
brother.
bag of tunes.
On Instagram, Facebook, just Iron Falcon Official.
Absolutely. I'm going to have to check that out. Something about your music is just, I don't know, man. It just really appeals to my most primal, growing up country roots. I always tell everybody I have a real white trash. There's something real white trash about me.
Just deep within.
There's
something in there.
deep within. And it does come out. Because, you know what? I'm going to just go off on a tangent here and you can agree with me. Like, do you ever get people to, like, try to get you to eat or drink things? And they're like, dude, check this out, man. This is a Brussels sprout with like cherry and like glazed walnut on top of it. What do you think about it? And I'm like, yeah, I was like, okay. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, dude, I just have a white trash palate. Like, literally, it tastes okay. It was a little much for me. Just the Brussels sprout or the cherry or the walnut by itself.
You're combining too much.
You're putting too much. Oh, there's balsamic vinaigrette in it. I don't even know what that is. You know what I'm saying? You guys ever like that? Is that when your countryside comes out? When does your countryside come out the most?
I could relate to that story. I didn't know that was a country thing or a white trash thing, but for sure.
I should just say I don't have a very formal palate.
No,
You got a good southern palate.
But I call it that. I'm like, that's my white trash palate coming out. Because it's like, oh, you have fried something? Oh, well, I'll eat that. You know? Is there mac and cheese here? Then I'll have that.
Right.
I'm a big mashed potato fan.
I was going to say.
You got mashed potatoes there?
Yeah, it's the jam, dude. Mashed potatoes are my jam. It's my favorite part of Thanksgiving.
Well, my favorite
broccoli and cheese casserole also very tight.
My favorite fast food I guess that really limits fast food mashed potatoes to really just KFC.
Yeah, I was gonna say my favorite fast food mashed potatoes, Taco Bell. You gotta try that. You gotta ask for them specifically.
Well, I loved the gravy at KFC, and I remember I learned a hard lesson when I was young, because we had like a full thing of gravy left over. My dad was like, "I'll give you $20 if you drink that." I was like, "What, 20? I'll do it for 5." And he's
20.
Like, he's like, "All right,
I'm gonna
5.
sell myself short.
Yeah, he's like, all right, $5. I'm like, "Oh, dang it!" Like,
I love the fact that you don't curse. And I'm just going to bring that up in the podcast because I absolutely...
I was keeping that a secret.
Dude, I absolutely 100% love it because to me, there's nothing funnier than just being really creative with your words. I mean, it's very easy to just, swear all the time. Mm-hmm. And I'm guilty of it, trust me. And I hold my swearing down on my podcast, but I still will swear from time to time, whatever. It's not a big deal to me. But I just love the creativity that goes into not swearing.
Mm-hmm. Like,
it takes some extra effort.
I was gonna say, like with your podcast, you do a great job because you very, very good with your words.
I try to be.
But there are some people, I'm sure some people like that cuss so much that it's like, dude, can you like not even just get through a sentence without?
Could you just not talk to me?
We talk about that in our music a lot too. Trying to find creative ways around using that kind of. Whenever you listen to a song that's got it too much, it's like, okay, are you dropping F-bombs just to drop them, or is there a reason for it? Or
right, exactly.
That's for me. Is like, I'm not out here trying to play.
Oh, rats.
I did the worst possible thing.
IBC in the Smithsonian carpet.
You got a towel or
instead of?
You got a straw. Suck it up.
Oh, brother, hang tight for me. Oh yeah, we're back with a vengeance here. So I had to do a quick cleanup.
You gave him a good spanking too.
I was gonna say the carpet looks better now than when you guys came here. So yeah, I had a little IBC root beer spill. First spill of the podcast, and it only took 30 some episodes.
Oh, that was the first one.
First one.
Oh, I'm the worst.
So you guys have officially made it into the Hall of Fame.
For what it's worth, I've been afraid I was going to spill it on your mixer over here.
I was going to say, dude, it's on a little bit of carpet. Didn't go on the electronics, man. We'd be up S Creek.
Oh yeah.
Well, worst case scenario, you just scoot the seat over a little bit.
No one will know, brother.
No one
Not
knows.
a single person. I want to go into this story though as we're wrapping up, because I was like, I do love the fact that you choose not to swear. Because there was a certain person that I ran into in my youth that chose not to swear in a really inopportune time. And I got to tell this story. So about a decade ago, I'm drinking in my friend's backyard with a bunch of people. There's like acoustic guitars out. We're all singing. We're having a good time. And a police officer comes in to the back gate. And he's like, "Hey, guys. Hey, I know you got a party going on here." And everybody's like, real quiet or whatever. And he goes, "I know you guys sound like a musical bunch, and you got your guitars out here. And I'm not trying to be a beehole or anything, but you guys are gonna have to keep it down." And the fact that he said beehole has stuck with me for a decade. Like, literally, I'm telling you this story. It happened 10 years ago, but a cop
What is the
said he didn't want to be a beehole. He said he didn't want to be a butthole, but he said beehole.
I was trying to think of what the B even stood for.
Exactly. And he decided to censor himself instead of saying...
He censored the censor.
He didn't even say a-hole. He said beehole. Not trying to be a beehole or anything here, guys. But you guys are going to have to keep it down. So, yeah, that's going to be it for that story about not swearing. You got Chris and Chris. What are your final thoughts for the podcast? What do you want everybody to know about yourself, about Iron Falcon? The platform is yours, guys. Don't take too much time, though. First thing that comes to your head.
This is all you, man.
All me. I don't know. I guess if anybody plays drums or plays guitar, plays bass, let us know.
Yeah.
I would like to play some shows again.
Get some reunion shows together. That'd be awfully fun.
I was pretty upset that everything kind of fell apart before the summertime. I was really looking forward to some good old summer shows, maybe a 4th of July party.
Oh, man. I had one of those myself. And, also, too, because I'm just going to keep on keeping on here with this conversation. It doesn't matter to me. It's my show. I can do what I like. I was going to say, too, I can't wait for Doty to get here so I can be like, "Oh, dude, I bet Iron Falcon is a mix of..." you probably came up with that name, and it's probably a mix of 2 drum pedals but then it turns out you blew it on that one, and it's not a mix of
I'm so sorry.
the Iron Cobra and the Mapex Falcon.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're gonna end it on a really high note, guys. We're gonna come out. We're gonna go out.
All right, well, hang
podcast
on. Let's just cut this in earlier. Well, yeah, we got the name Iron Falcon because with my right foot, I really like the Iron Cobra, but with my left foot, I like the Falcon.
I just like the smoothness of the Mapex Falcon, brother. Oh, hell yeah.
Well, see, the Falcon makes a better drive shaft.
Oh, dude, hell yeah, man. Demon drive, brother. Demon drive, brother. Hell yeah.
See,
That's what I'm talking about.
No, man, I just got the Maxxis pedals.
Dude, do you have an Axis pedal?
I do.
It's the most hideous looking piece of equipment I've ever seen.
I love them.
And they are the most awesome drum pedal ever made. Besides the Iron Cobra. For me, the Iron Cobra is my jam. But the Axis is so hideous looking, I couldn't do it.
Well, like for the longest time, I used to play shows barefoot.
Me too.
And
I
so
played barefoot for from the beginning to the end of my career.
For me, it's like I had to stop once I got the Iron Cobra. Or no, now you got me thinking Iron Cobra. Once I got the Maxxis pedals. Because it's just freaking that metal. So it's like the second I would start sweating, and I pour down sweat when I'm playing, my feet are sliding off when I'm trying to do stuff, and so I had to put grip tape all over it. And
yeah, I played once. I've played barefoot 1,000 million times, but one time we played a New Year's Eve show outside, and it was like literally 1 degree. And imagine playing barefoot
your toesies
with
feel.
just literally metal that is 1 degree, and your bare foot is on it. Worst day of my life.
Well, it's a good thing you didn't like.
Worst day of my life. Like, that's the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
that was it.
First world
Dude,
problems.
you got a hard life, brother.
You've had a pretty good life if that's the worst. I put my foot on a 1 degree metal. And
That's the next Iron Falcon song, guys. I'm not trying to
see.
You
trying to drum for it?
Hey man, is this what's up? Because we could use a drummer here.
Yeah, man. I'm liking these ideas. What was the other one? It was the 1 degree pedal and the
1 degree pedal. Yes, the 1 degree pedal. Guys, check out the brand new Iron Cobra or the Iron Falcon 1 degree pedal single coming at you in 2018. So, guys, well, hey, I tell you what, it's been awesome having you guys on the show. I've had a lot of fun sitting around, chatting, watching Rocky 1 with no sound on.
I forgot how weird he looks.
Yeah, how awesome he looks. He's the best.
Oh, he's an OG. Absolutely. And also, if you want to check out our videos, we do have a YouTube channel where we got our dumb videos where me and Chris are pretty much just running around out in Borden, causing a ruckus, and then we kill Mike Mullins in the other one.
Fantastic. Guys, you heard it. If you want to check out Iron Falcon, you're going to want to do that. Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, Pandora. They got a YouTube channel. You're definitely going to want to check them out. And if you like what you've heard today, if you haven't yet, you can like, share, and subscribe the old Sean vs. Wild podcast. That's on YouTube. It's on iTunes. It's on Stitcher. It's on the podcast app, whatever podcast app you have. It's on the internet, everywhere on the internet. So if you like podcasts, if you like this one, please feel free to just, click follow. Give me a 5-star rating, whatever you want to do. Guys, it's been awesome. Thank you so much for hanging out.
Thanks
today.
for having us on.
Thanks, man.
Hey, you're very welcome. And guys, listening out there, this has been the Chris vs. Wild podcast.